Gates while he's out there supposedly supporting us. Gates, the man that was kept on. Well, Gates was a gutless, a gutless incompetence. We have had nothing running on. If anyone decent in our military was removed, physically removed by Bush and Cheney. Remember that Cheney was, and anybody that follows this man and considers himself an American, I'm sorry, but Cheney was Secretary of Defense prior to being Vice President. Cheney stacked the Pentagon with traitors. Inside of Washington, Washington, D.C. is lined to the gills with thieving traitors. Congress is lined to the gill with gutless, thieving traitors. Not everyone there, but lined with them. If anyone spoke out rationally, and this is the problem, we have the government we deserve. If our military is run by thieving traitors, if our government is run by thieving traitors, if our financial system is run by thieving traitors, if everything we hear on the news, and this is what's insane about the alternative news, is that people with no sources of information at all listen to the mainstream news and comment on what they like or don't like, but accept it as true. I'm sorry, I don't even believe the sports scores and the weather. Nothing is true that you don't see. You know, of late we've had two incidents recently. One article in the Los Angeles Times that indicated that 200 Americans were being sent to Jordan as a vanguard of a 20,000-man force to attack Syria. Now, the article was in the Los Angeles Times. It wasn't clear mentioning that the 200-man force was replacing our last 200-man force and not new people at all. And of course, that the United States can't send people to Syria. Nor, in a second article that came out just 2 days ago, supposedly Secretary of Defense Hagel greenlighted an Israeli attack on Iran. First of all, the Secretary of Defense doesn't greenlight anything. There is no ability of the United States to authorize an attack by a third party on anyone. That would be a war crime. If the United States has a beef with Iran, we have a variety of steps. First of all, we need a national intelligence. How this works? We need a national intelligence estimate that represents Iran as a clear and present danger. The last two national intelligence estimates we received indicated that Iran had no nuclear program whatsoever. But when you turn on the news or even listen to Obama, you hear him talking about being concerned about Iran's nuclear weapons program.
Why can't we? Let me ask you this real quickly here. Let me insert this. Why aren't we worried about Israel having 400 nuclear weapons, threatening every capital in Europe, bragging that they could reach them, and jailing, the whistleblower that told us about their weapons program that Kennedy was trying to shut down? They are not signatories to the any nuclear agreements at all, and they got 300 to 400 nuclear weapons, probably some of which they used on
and you mean there's I'll go further. Israel's supplying North Korea with nuclear weapons, and North Korea now didn't North Korea nuke us last week? They said they were going to, but we don't seem to care because it's North Korea. Why can North Korea threaten to nuke us, and the Iranians allow us to inspect their nuclear facilities, and we're worried about the Iranians, and we inspect their facilities, and the North Koreans have nuclear weapons. They got them from the Israelis. They mount them on missiles, and they say they're going to attack the United States, and we don't seem to care. We don't care at all. Is something wrong in this? Anybody picking this up?
I think it was wrong.
Well,
I kind of took
I
it
put
personal,
that into
Gordon.
effect.
I kind of took it personal. They threatened to hit Austin, after I moved there. I maybe that was just a coincidence. Maybe I'm just, got too much
Maybe
of an
they
ego
were going
there.
to hit Colorado Springs, but they thought it was in Louisiana. Nothing worse than nuking the wrong place. Uh, I hate that about them.
Now,
If you're going to nuke something, please go to Google Earth and learn to target there. Or why don't you do this? If you want to attack the United States, just hire Google Corporation. They'll work for you. They'd be glad to attack the United States. Google hates America. But let's talk. Let's finish up on the point we just made here. For the U.S. to support Israel in attacking Iran, we would require a national intelligence estimate. One has to be requested. The last two that we had systematically and positively proved that Iran has no nuclear weapons program. That is the official policy of the Central Intelligence Agency, that Iran has no nuclear weapons program. There is no information to the contrary. Nobody has put their name on it. Nobody can. There's no proof whatsoever. Not an iota of proof. None. So why are people saying things otherwise? Let me jump in and tell you pretty much why. Across the board in the United States, over the past 2 weeks, we had a 50-cent a gallon increase in fuel prices. Now, the problem here is that the world is drowning in oil. The U.S. has doubled its refinery capacity since Obama took over the presidency. We produce more oil in the United States than Saudi Arabia. We're the largest exporter of refined fuels and gasoline in the world. Russia exports less than we do, and half the people in Russia are still using mules. A good part of Russia doesn't even have electricity. I do love their values there. But we're exporting gasoline, and we're doing it at less than cost to keep prices up in the United States. We are exporting gasoline, and we are creating artificial shortages, and one of the ways we do this, and this is an interesting point between Israel and Iran. Israelis run the oil futures market. They control the price of gasoline. And the leaders among this are the Koch brothers, who run the Tea Party. Okay? The Tea Party, let's say this, the Tea Party controls the price of oil. The 50-cent a gallon in
all right, lost you there for a second.
dollars. Our entire defense budget, which ought to be about a third of that, by the way, would pay for Social Security for 100 years, would pay for Obamacare for 300 years. 300 years of free medical care. We were blessed over, and I'm saying this will last 100 days, and it was all created over threats of war that were totally manufactured through phony, hoax newspaper articles in the New York Times, Jerusalem Post, Los Angeles Times, and Washington Post. These were all hoaxes, total hoaxes. The newspapers are running articles continually now that are total hoaxes. TV news, one hoax after another. And of course, everything in Sandy Hook was not just false flag terrorism, it was a hoax. The Boston bombing. All of the information we're given is a hoax. All of it. That's why we had to fly in doctors from Israel to take care of someone who couldn't talk. He'll never talk again. Now he's talking. Well, there are no Chechen anti-American terrorists. The Chechen terrorists are pro-American. If you don't know this, the Chechens are pro-American terrorists. The reason we would have Chechens in the U.S. is because they were brought here. They are funded. They are trained by the U.S., and they are trained by the U.S. to attack and destabilize Russia. They work closely with Israel. They work closely with the United States. The Chechen terrorist organization, and if you want to look up Chechen, C-H-E-H-E-N, look up Chechen organization and see who runs the organization. How many are Israeli citizens? How many are neocons? All of the Chechen organizations are run by neocons, by Kissinger, Zbigniew Brzezinski, who is someone I have a fairly positive opinion on, but he manages the Chechen organizations. They are U.S.-sponsored terrorist organizations. The newest U.S.-sponsored terrorist organization is Google. Every Google service you use, and this is if you want to be, if you are worried about your rights, your privacy, if you're worried about your government, it's not your government. Your government have any power. There is no government in the U.S. When you can buy the Senate, you can buy the House, you can buy every state election. We have no government. When we lost all control over campaign financing, when the Supreme Court allowed foreign drug money by the billions to come in, and of course the drug money is available because American soldiers died to bring it into the country.
That's right, and our American soldiers are guarding the opium poppy fields. Those nasty old Taliban, they were trying to destroy the opium poppy crops, weren't they? Isn't that the real reason we went in, so we could, so they wouldn't destroy our source of revenue here? And that's what I want to talk about. So let me just take a breath here, and let me address something here. First of all, I want to tell you folks that we need your support. I've got books that I will send you for a donation, and the Revolution Radio here, they need your donation. This radio station that you're listening to right now is not dependent on advertisers goodwill, who control what the Alex Jones out there have to tell you. I mean, you know, good propaganda is 90% truth, and 10% is the propaganda. With Alex Jones, the 10% there is is what he doesn't tell you. And we are giving foreign aid to all but about 8 countries in the world, and all the countries that are getting foreign aid are part of the they're part of the banking system here. And the only ones that aren't are the ones we're at war with. Is that am I accurate on that?
You're totally accurate here, and what we've created in Britain. Of course, I've got one of my bureau chiefs in the United Kingdom has been arrested, is being charged with a number of serious crimes for specifically to silence him for telling the truth about Blair and Cameron. And heaven forbid my staff in the UK are pro-Zionist. I mean, we don't have a litmus here. If you have the qualifications, you can write for Veterans Today, even if you're a pro-Zionist. And I just don't have crypto pro-Zionist. If you're going to be fanatically pro-Zionist, I allow it. I can't not allow it, because if it's how you feel and you have the qualifications to write, who am I to censor people? This is a free marketplace. You should be able to read whatever people have to say and try to discern the truth from a free marketplace of ideas. What has ended is this world government based on economic crime, based on bullying, ethnic cleansing, based on human slavery, human trafficking. We have created a worldwide dictatorship. Had the Russians won the Cold War and conquered Earth, we'd be living in a virtual heaven compared to what we have now. What do you think is hitting the United States? Look at the people around you that will take any job, do anything. We have tens of millions, perhaps a couple of 100 million people in this country living from paycheck to paycheck, worried about Obamacare, but they can't have their children's teeth cleaned.
All right, now let's take a moment here. We got a caller from 425. I suspect this is Hijacker. He was trying to get in. 425. Who do we have here?
Yes, you are correct, Clayton. Clayton Douglas. You, Gordon Duff, are probably not probably. You are the most courageous two people on the planet of Earth. And I'll actually have to say that Gordon Duff is probably the most courageous man on the earth with his words. And if I can get him on my show at, Changing Reality at the middle of the night, I'm going to do that. Gordon, you are to be commended. Yeah, if anybody hurts you, Gordon, if anybody hurts you, because they're really angry at you for what the words you said the most powerful words tonight on Clayton Douglas's show today. There's going to be all hell to pay. There will be hell to pay.
I guarantee you, I'm in no danger at all. I run a defense firm with hundreds, literally hundreds, of trained assassins who couldn't find a job that I've gotten to work for. Some of the most vicious and brutal human beings on earth are my best friends. And it's very simple. If anything happens to me, you see my name in the obituaries, and when you want to see the rest of the names, you won't have to go to the back of the newspaper. It'll be on the front.
I actually believe you.
I
believe you, Gordon.
Hijacker.
It was Clayton.
And I'm sorry for doing this here, because callers are what make these shows. I've had to moderate my own views in some ways because we have to come together. And in moderating my own views, I've had to pull in the real people that love America in our own intelligence services.
Broke up there just a little bit, Gordon. I guarantee Department of Homeland Security.
We have a lot of, and if you can believe this or not, Israel. I have a huge following in Israel.
And I believe that. I just want to let Clayton. Yeah, I just want to let you know, Gordon. Anytime you want to come on my show for 2 hours at night, it's a huge audience, turns out. I can't believe how big an audience it is. But if you want to come on, or Clayton, you're a very gutsy guy, too. I mean, you're a very courageous man. And people need to spread the wealth out among Revolution Radio, Clayton Douglas with his books, Gordon Duff with his Veterans Today. I mean, you got to help these people out. This is it. I mean, this is it, folks. I mean, if America falls, it's all over. This is it. These are guys. This is the last line of defense. So I just wanted to put that in there. You got me very excited, Gordon and Douglas. And so I just wanted to drop in and say, anytime you could roll over my show, you got it. I'll get a hold of you, and you come online. But nobody better touch Gordon or Douglas. Nobody. Either one of them turns up dead. I'm telling you, the American Civil War is basically going to start. I mean,
Well,
that's how bad it is.
Gordon's been through a few
that's
combat
enough.
scenes, hijacker. He's been through combat, and I've been in an awful lot of biker bars, and they've tried to kill me 3 times. I'm real hard to kill, but I want to thank you for calling in. Now, Gordon, I want to address something. This is the next article.
I've had a couple of attempts to kill me. I don't seem to die easy, but I'm not bulletproof. None of us are bulletproof.
No, sir.
Hey, you and I aren't kids anymore.
No, sir.
You know, and our failures here. If we don't like them, and let's not totally trash the United States here, because if I were in Canada, you and I would be in prison. If we were in Germany, we would be in prison. If we were in France saying this, we would be in prison. There are few nations. The only other nations that allow me to speak absolutely freely, literally, Nigeria, Kenya. I can speak freely in Iran. I can speak freely in Russia. I can speak freely in Pakistan, and anywhere else I am silenced. And oddly enough, I'm allowed a certain freedom of speech. Heaven forbid, I'm allowed it in Israel, okay, and the United States. A limited freedom, and here what we have, we're losing. That's the problem. What we have, we have to hold on to what we have, what little we have. And the problem is that we're sitting in the dark, losing America. We allowed ourselves to be divided. Now, at any given time, now politically, if you look at me, I'm multicultural, I'm liberal and progressive, if you wanted to put labels on me. Literally, I'm very conservative. I'm a patriot extremist to the extent, but I don't hate the United States government. I hate the bad people and bad things about our government, the endless laws that we are passing, and the fact that we have corruption is the primary problem in the United States. It isn't our government. When we talk about losing our Constitution, we have to admit that we are no better than Pakistan. And they have a presidential election coming up in 2 weeks. One of my friends, Imran Khan, I will hope will take over the presidency there. And his point is fighting corruption in Pakistan. Well, it's what we have here. We have massive endemic corruption, not just in Washington, but in every state government, every county, every sheriff's office. We have allowed millions of Americans to be in prison.
I need to discuss.
For anybody that has never been in a prison, you should know that a Nazi concentration camp, as described, is basically a county jail in the United States. What do you eat in county jail, Clayton? Tell us what the meals are in county jail.
Bologna sandwiches and coffee without sugar.
That's it.
Now let me address that. Let me address that. You've opened the door for. Hold on, Gordon. You've opened the door for me here. I've got to take advantage of this because you've just opened the door for the next article that I'm going to write, that I'm working on writing right now for Veterans Today, because this has gone on a lot longer than this decade. You know, my career now spans pissing off 4 presidents, and I've certainly earned that. When the ADL listed me in armed and dangerous, I called them up in New York and I said, "Hi, this is Clayton Douglas, and I just wanted you assholes to know you finally got something right. I am armed, and you threaten my family, my country. I'm definitely dangerous." Now, Gordon, 45 years ago, I got thrown into prison for having marijuana in Texas when it was a 99-year potential sentence if you went before a jury. And this is after they stole our #1 cash crop. It's like going into Afghanistan and stealing all the opium poppies there. They cornered the market. They sent it to Russia first. They sent it to Canada. They sent it to Mexico. And now there's 10,000 products made out of hemp, but you got to buy the hemp from Red Communist China, who killed over 100 million. I'm not anti-Semitic at all. On my Facebook page, I put the Jews for Preservation of Firearms ownership up, and that was sent to me by the well-regulated American militia site. They talked about over 100 and some odd, 140 million people that were slaughtered this century, by their own governments after they took away their weapons. And they did that in Russia, they did that in South Africa, they said they did it in Rwanda. And so this is not, you're accurate here. You know, Aaron Russo, I put on the cover of my magazine, he was Jewish, and he told you, when he started with Mad as Hell and ain't gonna take it anymore. You know, he tried to tell you the truth. He was Jewish. I don't care what race you are, but let me tell you something. If a man with a badge can walk up to you and say, "Whoa, what's that I smell? Is that marijuana? You've been smoking marijuana? Whoa, what's that in your pocket there? Ooh, that looks like cocaine. That could be cocaine. That could be heroin. Oh, you're going to do some time here. You have been inducted into the slave labor camp that we call prison. You're working for 10 cents an hour, and you'll take the job because you want to get out of the cell, and you're working for IBM and all this." So if a man with a badge can come up and say that to you and arrest you for a plant that God gave us, you live in a police state. Now, 45 years ago, while I was sitting in prison, I wrote books, I wrote novels about the United States in a future time when a honest president was elected and victimless crimes were abolished. And at least they were abolished in 46 states, while 4 states kept the same laws that they have today. And that's the setting for my science fiction novel that I wrote 45 years ago. Today, 16 states, you can smoke a joint without being sentenced to 99 years, like some of the black folks that I met in prison in Texas. I want to talk about that in the next article that I do, because if the
now,
drug dealers...
Were you doing Huntsville or where?
Yeah, well, I got a hernia operation in Huntsville. I was in Cofield unit, and I made first parole because the assistant warden wanted to get rid of me. He didn't like me there. But the time I spent in that prison, I spent writing books. I had the only typewriter in the prison, because the director, I wrote the director of the prison system.
Anyone.
What's that?
Walter Winchell, who's, by the way, not a person I admire to any degree, but long ago, this is about Michigan. If you wanted to meet the scum of the earth, come to Jackson Prison, which was the world's largest walled prison, Jackson, Michigan, state prison in southern Michigan. Come to Jackson Prison at shift change time. We have created a prison slave state. We have loaded. You could go into Jackson Prison. Let's make the year 1975. You'd walk into 4 block, which is 3 block.
Okay. Got broke up there. Hang on a minute.
All you would see were Marine Corps tattoos, one after another. Veterans. That's who we send to prison. We try to kill them off. If we can't kill them off, we put them under a bridge. Then eventually we throw them in jail. And I think of Silver Star recipient Daniel K. Staggs. actually written about in Stolen Valor. Well, Danny Staggs was, I think in 1982, was knifed to death in Jackson Prison. I knew Danny from the 26th Marines. He was a battalion sniper. Known as the Sandman. Staggs was a wild character, a friend. I have a lot of wild characters. A biker. Another friend, Leonard Madison, Mattison. Leonard was sent in after leaving the Marine Corps. Leonard was initially a Marine infantry, then later an MP. He was one of our MPs at Camp Diala outside Da Nang, actually. I went through training with him. I actually broke my hand hitting Leonard at one point to the side of the head. They took us to the hospital in the same, actually a Jeep. I'd like to think they used an ambulance. The Marine Corps is not good about that. But fractured his skull and broke my hand. And we became close friends. He picked up 5 years on a burglary charge. He'd gotten involved in drugs. And he's still in prison. I'm serving the same 5-year sentence because he's been convicted of crimes for misbehavior in prison, for theoretically attempted escapes from maximum security, which is nearly impossible. This is nearly 45 years later. He is still serving, making office furniture for 10 cents an hour. He's serving the same 5-year sentence, which should have gotten him 18 months behind bars, and the rest of the time on parole or probation or in a correction center. 45 years later, he's locked up. He's 65 years old. He's still in prison for a crime committed in 1973. We don't have an idea how many people we have in prison, but the number in prison, parole, and probation in the United States now exceeds 20 million. 20 million. It's Stalin's gulags don't approach this. And when I remember watching the movie about the horrible Turkish prisons years ago. A movie called Midnight Express was made, showing how awful the conditions are, how prisoners are beaten and sexually assaulted, how prisoners are starved and worked to death, how they live in filth, how they eat filth. Well, the prison in Midnight Express, the Turkish prison an American was thrown into, I can tell you 2/3 of the people in American prison would like to be in that Turkish prison because it was safer, certainly better people, certainly a more honest staff, because American prisons, American jails, get yourself locked up overnight in a holding tank with feces smeared on the wall, one overflowing toilet. If you get, in 24 hours, if you get 2 bologna sandwiches on moldy bread or a single 25-cent pot pie to eat, you're lucky. If you survive with your virginity intact, you're lucky. You'll see a floor that's never been cleaned. This is a country where we are destroying, we are marginalizing our citizens, we are building an abused underclass in this country, where our standard of living goes down every year, our IQs go down, we are being systematically de-educated through television, through the internet. We've created a class system here that makes the caste system in India look like a joke. As they have, I live in a world of haves and have-nots. If you don't look right and you drive down my street, you will be in jail. Simple as that. I have to be protected from regular people. There is no opportunity for social mobility. I watch young people, veterans, and others try at $200 and $300 a credit hour to get educations. And once they've graduated from college with 2 or 4 year degrees, even in technical specialties, even in nursing, they end up working in minimum wage jobs. We watch, and as we're heading this direction here probably an hour ago, but I've got 200 million people that are one paycheck from living in their cars, or cars they no longer own, that no longer run. I was driving out to dinner yesterday, and all I could see were people's cars and trucks for sale in front of their house. Anything of any value. Go to a pawn shop, worry about people having guns. Well, where are America's guns? They're in pawn shops in the back room because people have to feed their kids. Americans shouldn't have to worry about feeding their children. Well, American parents not only worry about keeping their children fed, they are also worried what kind of country their children will grow up in. And because Americans are so divided, they have given up. They will listen to nothing. And they allow this travesty like Boston, like Sandy Hook, like 9/11, like the Gabby Gifford shooting. All of these things, the killing of Sheriff Deaver in Cochise County by drug gangs, suicide by drug gangs. We have this happening every day. We have death squads. The United States suffers more secret terrorism at the hands of our own citizens. We don't need Israel. We don't need Arab terrorists. We don't need anyone. We have enough traitors here. We have a ruling class that isn't American. America is turning into a slave state.
That's right, and they have refined the art of slavery to the point.
American goes to bed.
They have refined the art of slavery to the point the slave don't know they're slaves. I'm not a slave. I can go get my pickup. You got 2 minutes here, Gordon. We gotta sign off here. Gordon Duff has been my guest today, and folks, support this radio station, Revolution.
I look at.
Go ahead.
Let's put in a plug for veteranstoday.com, and I'm sorry, I would put a sports section in. I'd give us we do a little bit of travel writing, too much serious stuff there, and we have and what we don't have are reliable, sanitized opinions. People say what they want. Everyone doesn't agree, but we have the best writers on this planet, the most courageous people. And frankly, I'm only one of them, and and I've helped build the organization. But others, to a large extent, have run Veterans Today now. It has its own life, and it has become a huge organization and a tremendous power, and one that's out of my hands. And it's an indication of the kind of life that exists in the United States and around the world. People that want to change things and that are willing to do what is needed. My last words here is, as Americans, we have to sit together. We have to bury our differences. We are not going to be divided by the phony news, divided by the Tea Party or the Democrats or whatever. We're not going to say liberal or conservative. We're going to sit together and stand against what is wrong. We're going to respect justice. We're going to care for the people of the United States, our own children, ourselves. We're going to care for what is honorable, what is moral, and what is true. And the first step, as with getting over any addiction, we have become addicted to lies, and we're going to have to go cold turkey on that. Clayton, I leave the scene to you here.
All right. Gordon Duff, thank you. I'll have an article at least by Monday on this subject. I've got the answer, folks. Tear down that wall between us and Mexico, replace it with tables, and initiate true free trade. Let the Colombians, let the Mexicans, let the Panamanians bring all the drugs they want up here, lay it on the table, pay a duty on it, and let the Americans come back after you've abolished all the laws against victimless crimes. Come down, go down to the border, pick up whatever you want for your personal supply, take it home. If you want to shoot heroin and kill yourself that way, then you can do that in privacy of your own home. I don't think we need to pay $50,000 a year to keep you in luxury in the prison system so you can be a good slave and not be able to rebel against your masters. That is a waste of our money. It's a waste of time. You want to shoot heroin, you want to kill yourself that way, just do it over there beside the pit so we can throw your body in, and we don't have to feed and clothe you for the next 10 years. That's what I wrote about 45 years ago while I was sitting in prison for marijuana. That's it. And we've just been disconnected. They didn't like that one either, did they? Thank you, Gordon Duff. God bless you, and I'll be talking to you later.